We've been going through the entire week.
जी आज एक बार फिर यहाँ पर एहतजाज हो रहा है शेफील्ड में फ़लस्तीन के हवाले से। वो कि सीज़ फायर हो चुका था, लेकिन still there has been news that Israel forces have again attacked Masjid al-Aqsa, so they are still demonstrating against Israel.
Again, if you're a speaker, Abdullah would like to talk to you, so just come to the front if you haven't already.
Netanyahu, wait and see. Palestine will be free. Netanyahu, wait and see. Palestine will be free.
Netanyahu, wait and see. Palestine will be free.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
So we used so we used this chant last time. I don't know if people remember it, but I'll say it first, and then if you want to join in, join in. Obviously, if you have other chants, then that's great as well. You can just let us know, or just do it and just join in with you. Just before we do that, I'm not going to pick points of individuals, but obviously I just need to just tell you a few simple things. We've seen the past week, last week, or even sometime this week, where there was individuals who've said stuff that was very anti-Semitic and that attacked the Jewish community, and we don't accept that at all. It's a counterproduct to what we're trying to do here. Yeah, it does not help us at all in terms of getting the freedom for our Palestinian siblings. Yeah, so please, if you see it happening, don't be quiet. Yeah, silence is just as bad. Don't be quiet. So speak up against it. Yeah, we've spoken to a few people about it today, but if we do see it again, we're just going to ask you to leave, because no way this is supporting our Palestinian siblings. No way at all. It's actually causing more problems than necessary. Okay? Understand? Sorry, I'm trying to turn people off there, but it just needs to be said, like, at the end of the day, this is not about me or you. It's about what's happening in Palestine right now. It's what's happening to our Palestinian siblings. 73 plus years this has been happening to them, and we have no right to dictate what we can and can't do on their behalf. Yeah, we have no right to do that. And when we do say things that will cause damage to the movement, we need to call it out. Okay? So I'm sorry that it sounds harsh, but it needs to be said. So I'll just start with this chant, and I want you to join in if you can. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 6, 7, 8. Israel is. Sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8. Listen, I have an engineering degree. I'll take that back. My friend is there, so he can confirm that. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is terrorist state. Okay? So, when you're ready. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Occupation no more.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Israel is a terrorist state.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Occupation no more.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Israel is a terrorist state.
Okay. So now we need to show even more energy, yeah? It's extreme energy. Why? Because we want people who are walking past today who don't know what's going on. We want them to hear what's going on, yeah? But we don't just want that. What we want is the rest of Sheffield to hear it. But we don't just want that. We want our Palestinian siblings in Gaza, in the West Bank, yeah, in East Jerusalem, in Sheikh Jarrah, to hear our solidarity, to hear the support, that they know that people internationally are supporting them. and that this city, Sheffield, the city of sanctuary, the people for the refugees, the people who, we are the people that support marginalized communities, that we are there for them, for our Palestinian siblings, and all that are oppressed. So join me, I'm going to say, long live Palestine. Okay, can someone just move that kid and that sign? Please, just remove it. Just take it off them. Absolutely disgraceful. I've already told them as well. Okay. So I'm going to say long live Palestine. You're going to say long live Gaza. Yeah? Gaza. Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Okay, if you have your social media, get it out. Go on. Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free! 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 Palestine! Big ups. Well done to all of you. We'll just get my breath back. Okay, so we've seen obviously last night when Israel, confirmed about the ceasefire that was happening, and then less than 12 hours later, we've seen the attacks on the worshippers when they were praying Friday prayer at the Aqsa Mosque, unarmed, were just doing their normal things of, doing their prayers. But with that being said, we've been here before. This ceasefire means nothing. It was just a media stunt. And you know why it was a media stunt? It was because of people like you. Yeah? It was because of people like you. Because you lot, every time you posted on social media, yeah, the Palestinian people saw that. Every time you attended a protest, the Palestinians saw that. Every time you spoke up and challenged people who attacked the right for self-determination of the Palestinian people, you spoke up. And when people say that protests don't work, tell them this, that if it didn't work, why did they have to bomb the tower that had the media outlets like Al Jazeera and so on? Why did they have to bomb that? Because they wanted the crimes that they were committing towards the Palestinian people, they wanted that to be quiet. But because we stood up with our Palestinian siblings, because we spoke, we posted on social media, we demonstrated, we came out. Even the students, I say even when the students come out all the time, the students and the people who spoke out in their own schools. Big ups to the kids, the children from Hand House School who spoke up, yeah? Big ups to the kids that spoke up in Park Academy. And if they're here, and if they're not even here, shout out, big up to them, because they spoke up. And when the teachers silence their people, and even to the extent that they report them because of prevent duty, they report them, yeah. And even at the youngest age of 5, these kids are challenged and questioned by prevent officers. Look at this, is a disgusting society that we call the UK, yeah, where people are silenced for speaking the truth. When we look at the prevent strategy, people talking about Palestine, they get reported. People praying, they get reported. People having political opinions, they get reported. And we have to continue to challenge that and stand up with our siblings that do speak up. We can't leave them behind. And a true individual of that is our brother Mazen Bek. He's a true example of that. And the work that Cage do as well. I really recommend you to look up Cage. Like the actual word Cage. Look them up. So you can know the great work that they do. They stand up for those who are oppressed, who are stopped by police, or even prevent officers, challenge for their views. And this is not just about the Palestinian cause, by the way. This happens to people who are working class, people who claim to be socialists, people who claim to be religious, from a religious group, people who even pray. This is an attack on all of us, and that's why we have to challenge it, and we have to continue. If this protest didn't work, why is it that the ceasefire announcement occurred? Why? If this protest doesn't work, how do you think the South Africa apartheid, how do you think it ended? It was through protest, it was through organizing, it was through mobilizing, it was through planning, and that is what we must continue to do. And I'll say, and I'll tell you this, and I'll tell you this, as a young black Muslim man, and as a member of the Labour Party as well, I'll tell you this, and as an organizer for the Black Lives Matter March in 2016 and 2020, I wasn't the only one, but as part of the organizers, I'll tell you this, if you supported us for the BLM protest, if you supported us by putting the black post on your social media, but you are quiet on the Palestinian issue, on the humanitarian issue of Palestine, if you are quiet about that, we do not want your solidarity, we don't want you part of our movement. Simple. And you know what? Nelson Mandela was right to say that our freedom is incomplete until the freedom of our Palestinian civilians is complete. So until they get the self-determination, until the end of the occupation occurs, until they get the support and the necessary right to go back to their homeland, we do not want your solidarity. And if there's any organizations out there that claim to be anti-racist, but do not have a standpoint on Palestine, we do not want your solidarity. And you know what? People will say that this is a religious war. People will say that this is a conflict. People will say there is an Israel-Palestine issue. People will also say that Israel has the right to defend itself. The Israeli forces have the right to defend themselves. But when you look at the Palestinian people, they don't have the bombs with them. They don't have the nuclear weapons. They are not funded by the likes of the UK and the States. They are merely just throwing stones. Barely just throwing stones. How is that a conflict? How is that self-defense? Tell me. This. And you know what? I will finish on this because I want to pass on to the speakers. And you know what? I will finish with this saying, that firstly, much love and support to everyone who came out the past few weeks, But firstly, much love and support to the Palestinians. Because this is for us, let's be honest. Let's be truly honest. This is a one-day event for us. We might come out again, but this is not our lived experiences. We are not the ones who've been suffering like this for 73 years plus. And I'll tell you this, as an East African, from a country that barely people know, Eritrea, we have been suffering as well for 30 odd years under dictatorship, no democracy, no support whatsoever, limited media. We do not compare our struggle with the Palestinian people. But I want to tell our Palestinian siblings, our Palestinian people, I want to tell you, as an East African from Eritrea, who knows what oppression is like, as an organizer for Black Lives Matter, I am with you. We are with you, and we will not stop campaigning, even if it means challenging people at work, even if it means challenging people at school, even if it means challenging organizations who claim to be anti-racist. We will continue to support you. And I want everyone to raise their hand. Put your fist up now, please, if you can. And I want you to pledge. If you are a person of faith, I want you to pledge on your faith as well. If you are not a person of faith, I just want you to pledge that you will not just leave it to protest, and you will not just leave it to events, but that you will actually support the Palestinian cause as much as you can. And that includes challenging your own family members. That includes challenging people who we say are our friends. Yeah? Because if we don't challenge them, if we don't speak about issues that are happening in Palestine, if we do not talk about the ethnic cleansing, then we are not just betraying the Palestinian people, but you are lying to yourselves. I am lying to myself. If we are talking about Palestine on social media, but we do not act. Yeah? And don't get me wrong, people will say to us that you are or just don't achieve anything, but they do, and we've proven that. So with me, I pledge that I will stand with my Palestinian people, even if that means challenging our families, challenging our friends, challenging anyone who is against the oppressed, and that I commit that I will learn about what is going on in Palestine, and that if I am able to join campaigns such as Friends of Al-Aqsa, such as Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Thank you.
Free, free! Palestine! 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 Free, free! Palestine!
Let our people here in Gaza, in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem, in Sheikh Jarrah, free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Sheffield stands with!
Palestine!
Sheffield stands with! Sheffield stands with! Power to you. I'm literally just looking around. You want to speak? Next. No questions. So yeah, our next speaker. Well, actually, I wasn't a speaker. I was just introducing. But our first speaker is Amna. Amna. Before I do pass over to Amna as a student, but also as someone who, I believe it was last week, the Tuesday protest was the person who was behind pushing that to happen. Literally kept us on our toes to make sure that it was happening. And to me anyway, an inspiration and someone who does influence people about the Palestinian cause on her social media. So big up and please welcome Amna.
Thank you, Abdullah. And thank you all for coming today to show your unconditional solidarity to the Palestinian people. As I'm speaking, Gaza remains entirely cut off from the rest of the world. No electricity, no Wi-Fi, only intense waiting for the death toll to roll in. The news doesn't value Palestinian lives. They're reduced to numbers. A brief mention before a report on the latest COVID updates or football results. Well, I'm here to remind you that Palestinian lives aren't just mere statistics. They are men, women and children with history behind their eyes and hopes, dreams and ambitions for the future. They are people with a story to tell, a struggle to share and a mind to educate. They're doctors, lawyers and teachers. They're future leaders, artists and freedom fighters. The news will have you forgetting names and remembering numbers. But never forget that behind each Palestinian life is somebody worth fighting for. I've mentioned before that the idea of protesting and its effectiveness has been questioned. Whether we as the people truly hold any real power to make a change. Well, in a world full of silent leaders and governments who turn a blind eye, let Palestine know that we, the people, will fight for them. Let Palestinians know that for as long as they are the dragon, we will continue being the fire. Before I finish, it's probably worth mentioning that I'm not Palestinian myself. I'm not even Arab, and I'm sure that many of you standing before me can say the same. But that shouldn't matter. Palestinians, I want you to know this. Your struggle is my struggle. Your resistance is my resistance. Your fight is my fight, and when you bleed, I bleed. No one ever said that it's easy to stand up for what's right, but I guess it's time that we make that change. Thank you.
So we'll give another big ups to Amna, because honestly, and you know, Amna has been dealing with a lot of, she wouldn't like me to say this, but she's been dealing with a lot of Zionists online, attacking her for speaking up on the Palestinian cause, so keep it up. Okay, so the next speaker, I am looking for him, is Ralph Maroof, who is a newly elected Green councillor. Last night, actually, I was speaking to a friend of mine who knows Ralph very well. Is he here? Yeah, he's here. Who knows him very well, and he told me that from councillors, although he's a newly elected councillor, he'll tell you, he's a newly elected councillor, but my friend was telling me that, Ralph is one of the very few people that he knows. I'll actually tell you who it was. It was Majid, actually. Majid, Lord Mayor previously in Sheffield. And he actually told me that Ralph is actually one of the very few people that he knows who is a councillor who has been active, just recently councillor, but before being councillor, actively been supporting the campaign for Palestine. So please give him a warm welcome, Brother Ralph.
Assalamu alaikum. Normally I don't prepare speeches, but unfortunately on this occasion I had to. Bismillah. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. The power of you, the people, is greater than the people in power. My name is Maroof Ralph, and I believe the Palestinians have as much right to live their lives free from oppression as anyone else in the world does. The approach of the Israeli authorities and security forces has been nothing short of deplorable. They must protect all civilians in line with their obligations under international law. Everyone around the world, from me to you to the leaders you elect, should continue to be vocal about the need for Israel to cease evictions, demolitions, and the killing of innocent Palestinians, and then punish Israel for their horrendous violations of international law. All of us in Sheffield should continue to stand up against terrorism. Terrorism should not be allowed to proliferate, no matter which country practices it, including the terror state of Israel. Imagine calling these acts of terrorism self-defense. The act of beating a child to a bloody pulp when the child wants their sweet back, the same sweet that you stole yourself. Why is Israel allowed to commit genocide? Why is Israel allowed to kill children with impunity? Why is Israel allowed to commit barbaric acts of terrorism? Why are the governments of the West not speaking up? Do Palestinian lives not matter? Are we in the West happy for war crimes to be committed against the Palestinians, but not others? I again underline the need for the Israeli authorities to not only behave responsibly, but also to protect all civilians in line with their obligations under international law. I am also disgusted to see the lack of condemnation by those who have been elected only 2 weeks ago by you, the people, not only in Sheffield, but throughout this country. Other councillors in Sheffield may not want to speak up about the terrorism being committed every single hour of the day on the Palestinians, but I most certainly will do. As a Sheffield City Councillor, I will ensure the Palestinians are not forgotten in the chamber just down there. Finally, I encourage all to listen to the Palestinians. They are the ones suffering. They are the ones who have to deal with the oppression daily. And they are the ones who are being ethnically cleansed. Listen to their stories, listen to their pain, listen to their cries for help. May all those who have been forcibly removed from their homeland by the terrorists of Israel have some respite. May all those who have been oppressed by the terrorists of Israel be free from oppression. And may all those who have been killed by the terrorists of Israel rest in peace. It's very simple here. Israel is the oppressor and the Palestinians are the oppressed. Your voice matters, and I again urge you to remember from yesterday to today to tomorrow that the power of you, the people, is greater than the people in power. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Free, free Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Thank you very much.
Guys, keep it going. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Amazing. We love the energy. And thank you so much for this amazing speech.
Loving the energy, loving the energy. Okay, so our next speaker. So our next speaker is Yusra, who's a student from Middlesex.
I'm not a student anymore.
Oh, sorry, former student. Apologies. Who is also Palestinian. So it'll be great to just get that voice from Palestinians as well. So if you could just give a warm welcome to Yusra, please.
I'm not prepared for this really, so whatever's going to come out is going to come out. But I've just had enough. I've had enough of only seeing stuff on the social media. Where's the Arab leaders? Where's the leaders? Why is no one speaking up? Why is no one speaking up? Why is it only us? What are they doing? I've had enough. I've had enough that every time I have to say Free Palestine, I have to be labelled as anti-Semitic. No! We're against racism. How dare they? We're against ethnic cleansing. I'm Palestinian and I've had enough. I've had enough of watching people die. They don't even names or anything. It's just all numbers. They don't care about our lives. And I've had enough of it. I want to see justice. We want a free Palestine. I want to see justice. How is it right? How is it right? Little short story, yeah? The other day, my dad fell down the stairs. I know this is completely random, but the fear that I felt just seeing my dad down the stairs, looking all vulnerable, my heart sank. I can't imagine a mother, I'm not even a mother, I can't imagine a mother pulling her kids away from under the buildings and rubbles. I've had enough. How can I go home now when my own people are back home dying? A whole entire families are going. Not you just raise your kids and day and night you wake up and no one's there. Nothing is guaranteed for them. And I know my family there, back in Palestine, they have no future, they have no life. They're so cut off, they're so limited. We're asking for basic rights and we're being denied them. We want justice, and we want it now. I hate to see that, it's just so unfair. But yeah, free Palestine!
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
जी जी आप देख रहे हैं एहतजाज हो रहा है शेफील्ड में
You're not loud enough.
Free, free!
फलस्तीन के हक में
Free, free! Free, free!
London, why are you so silent? Come on.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Occupation no more! Occupation no more! Occupation no more! Occupation no more!
Tell him. Okay, just before I pass on to the next speaker, you know, it's very hard for speakers to come up and speak, especially when it's their own lived experience. So please can you give another shout out to Yusuf for coming up. He's not spoken up before as well. Okay, so the next speaker is going to do a little bit of a speech, but also we'll do a little bit of stuff with sign language. So just bear with us, and if you just show him the support, is Kash Khan. Sorry, just briefly, I had a planned. This guy, to me, like, I love this brother so much. He's always active. When people are oppressed, he's always pouring it up. I'm not sure if people went to the fundraise that was set up by Families Relief on one of the, I think it was last weekend. And to be honest, a lot of us didn't know about it without him throwing it up and sharing it. He's always consistently active, regardless of the situation that he's in, and has been very supportive for the cause. So just bear with me, sorry. I just have a little thing to say about Kash. So Kash has been deaf since childhood, but he never let his disability get in the way of helping others, raising awareness in any way he can. So he will speak using British Sign Language about Palestine, and he will also briefly do some tracks as well. So please show your support to Kash, especially as he's using, you know, his speak up. So what excuses do we have?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. I hope you are well, inshallah. As you have seen what is happened in Palestine is deeply sad. They have killed a lot of our children and sisters, including little children. That is a crime. So you agree? Nelson Mandela said, we know well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. They used to say Palestinians fight like a hero. Now they say heroes fight like a Palestinian. This is need to stop right now. Enough is enough. We must protect our brothers and sisters. Please, I want you all to say Amen after I say something, please. Ya Allah, help the Palestinians in Gaza, in the West Bank and East Jerusalem and all the oppressed. Amen. Free, free Palestine! 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 Jazakallah khair.
Another big up to Kash, please, another big up. I love this guy. Okay, that got me emotional. Okay. Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Okay, so our next speaker And then we've got like a choir as well who will be joining us after the speaker. So our next speaker is Peter Jones, who's an academic, and also will be speaking on behalf of Sheffield Labour Friends of Palestine, and has a few words as well to say about UCU recent motion. But just before I pass over to Peter, briefly I just want to say that during my time as a student, I worked with Peter, and honestly, Peter is just
जी अभी आप देख रहे हैं शेफील्ड से जो एहतजाज हो रहा है फ़लस्तीन के हक़ में इज़राइल के ख़िलाफ़, और जो सीज़ फायर हुआ था वो भी उन्होंने तोड़ दिया है और दोबारा मस्जिद अक्सा में उनकी फ़ौजें जो हैं हमला आवर हुई हैं। तो ये सिलसिला जारी रहेगा जब तक फ़लस्तीन जो है अपना हक़ नहीं पा लेता।
Involved in terms of like aiding organizations and companies that basically fund weapons in Israel. So it's really great to have Peter speaking here again. I know he's spoken before, but please hear him out and give a warm welcome to Peter, please.
Hi everybody. It's again an incredible honour and privilege to address such an audience and bring support and solidarity from both Sheffield Labour Friends of Palestine and from the many members of the University and College Union, UCU, at Sheffield Hallam University this time. We salute the Palestinian resistance and its signal victory, albeit temporary at such cost, this week over the Israeli state. This week in Sheffield, Labour Party members have been very active in organising support for the Palestinian cause, with strong pro-Palestinian motions already enthusiastically received and passed in a number of branches: Hillsborough, Brightside, Constituency Labour Party, South East, Labour South East, and there are other motions to be put at Hallam, Healy, and Central as well. There's overwhelming support for the Palestinian cause in the Labour Party, in the Labour Party membership. And this is despite, but slightly possibly also because of the coup carried out by Keir Starmer against Corbyn in the Labour Party and the purge of pro-Palestinian activists, including Corbyn himself. In fact, the Starmer leadership is completely, openly complicit with pro-Israeli organisations and individuals, and some months ago even employed a former member of Israeli military intelligence in an important social media management role. But the fight back is on. And certainly if there are any Labour Party members here today who would like to join that fight and join Sheffield Labour Friends of Palestine, please let me know. This week at Sheffield Hallam University we also passed a motion in branch supporting the Palestinian struggle with a very large majority. And this motion also includes a demand for an urgent meeting with Sheffield Hallam University managers to discuss and divest from all links and partnerships with companies enabling and complicit in Israeli apartheid. The fight for social justice starts at home and starts from the insistence in all these organisations of applying the ethical principles that in fact they say they've already signed up to. It was interesting that I saw an interview with Raed Debi, who is one of our friends and colleagues in Nablus. I think it was on RT, and he was being asked whether it was possible ever to reconcile the Israeli demands with the demands of the Palestinian people. And he said something very important, which is the Palestinian people don't have demands, they have rights. This is a struggle for universal human rights. It's not about demands. This is a struggle that unites us all. It's our fight, all of us. And that's why we have to insist on action. We have to insist that the principles and the laws that have been passed and supposedly regulate conduct, business affairs and political relations, that these should be enforced, these should be upheld, and that is our fight. It's a universal fight for rights. I was also reminded of an interesting interview. Michael Crick of Channel 4 interviewed Theresa May, the former British Prime Minister, in South Africa a few years ago when she was visiting there and paying tribute to Nelson Mandela. And Michael Crick asked her straight on, he said, what were you doing to support Nelson Mandela? What were you doing to fight apartheid in those days? And of course she couldn't answer. The Tory party under Margaret Thatcher was a big friend of the apartheid regime in South Africa and called Nelson Mandela a terrorist. But that's what our thing now is, our call is to all these organisations and individuals. What are you doing now to stop apartheid? What are you actually doing now? And that's the question that we must ask all our managers, all our workplaces, all our politicians and representatives. What are you doing now to stop this? The struggle in Palestine this last few weeks has been awesome. It's been incredible and inspiring to see this unified, collective resistance of the Palestinian people. And that unified movement, collective movement of Palestinians is so essential to their freedom. But at the same time, the unified pro-Palestinian movement outside Palestine is equally important, as we know from the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa itself. This needs organisation. This is the new, relaunched, reinvigorated anti-apartheid movement across the world. A global war for Palestinian freedom. And we need to organise and organise and organise in the labour movement, politically, in cultural settings, whatever, to unify that global support for the Palestinian movement. The world smashed apartheid once. Let's do it again. For Palestine. Thank you.
जी यही थी आज की कवरेज और इंशाल्लाह आइंदा भी अगर कोई एहतजाज हुआ तो ज़रूर कवर करेंगे। अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।